Intercepted. It is picked off by Eric Crocker. Over midfield, he'll run it all the way into the end zone. Touchdown.
Cross Talk TV podcast. Peace.
Welcome to another episode of the Eric Crocker Show. I'm your host, former NFL and AFL defensive back, and this morning we're talking all things San Francisco 49ers. What the hell happened? Kyle Shanahan. He was a little bit more aggressive. Some things I like with him. We're going to talk Brock Purdy, the receivers, the defense, what happened on a couple of mix-ups on the back ends. But first, definitely want to thank you all for tuning in and let you know that the show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Go to underdogfantasy.com or download the Underdog Fantasy app and use promo code Crocky when they ask how you heard about them, all right? They'll double your deposit. Right now, they have some crazy stuff going on before the season, doubling your deposit up to like $1,000 of bonus money. If you didn't get on that, there's still opportunity to get in now. They have the best live in-game action play, prize picks and stuff like that. Cool. Not as good as Underdog Fantasy, all right, especially with the live play. So go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app and use promo code Crocky. Yeah. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I see Raphael. I see Manly Shavers. All right. CTESPN. Come on, baby. Jerry Baker in here. Everybody feeling good. I see the Flames. And Alejandro says, what up, Croc? What up, Alejandro? I get it. The San Francisco 49ers, they fall victim to the Minnesota Vikings. And in all actuality, I think it really could have been a lot worse. But shout out to Fred Warner. We're going to talk about how he single-handedly kept this game from really getting out of hand. San Francisco 49ers are still winless in Minnesota since 1992. What the hell are they going to do about just this being able to win out there in Minnesota? I don't know what it is. I know my co-host Brian Peacock, again, come at you 5 days a week, Locked On 49ers. He talked about there being a spell kind of put over the 49ers. I'm like, it's not a spell, man. They're out there not playing quite like themselves. And we saw them do it last year. We see them do it again this year. But I definitely want to start on a positive note. Or it's a positive, negative, positive. But Kyle Shanahan, all right? Kyle Shanahan and his aggressiveness. And I felt like Kyle Shanahan and his aggressiveness will be good for the long run. Now, I know you did not get the results that you ideally would like. But for me, it's all about a mindset. You know, I was at this birthday party / housewarming party in Oakland over the weekend. And I'm talking to a 49er fan, and he's asking me, like, you think 49ers get over that hump this year? You think they? And I'm like, for me, the biggest thing is Kyle Shanahan being more aggressive. Kyle Shanahan kind of being more that wild card. Like, when I look at Kyle Shanahan, and I don't know how many blackjack players there are in the chat right now, but I love playing blackjack. And there's rules, right? Like, you can play by the book. You can maybe be a little bit more of a wild card, depending on if you're playing by yourself. But the book, they tell you kind of how to play things. And there's also some people that maybe tend to get a little bit more aggressive. Let's say you have a 16 hand and the dealer is showing an 8, well, or a 9 or a 10. All right. At that time, you might want to play it safe and not hit. Some people, a little bit more risky, they'll hit on that 16. I don't. I'm a little more Kyle Shanahan when it comes to that. All right. But Kyle Shanahan, I think a lot of times he kind of plays things a little safer. And when I think of guys like Andy Reid, and I look at what Andy Reid has done really in the postseason, a lot of people think about how, oh, man, he started winning because he has Patrick Mahomes. And when I say start winning, I mean winning Super Bowls. Clearly, with the Philadelphia Eagles, he was really good going to the postseason, going to conference championship games, went to a Super Bowl. But actually winning the Super Bowl, it's because, he needed his Patrick Mahomes. And it's like, well, I watched this guy do something crazy one time. And it was a few years ago against the Cleveland Browns in the postseason. And Patrick Mahomes got knocked out the game. It was that weird. They tried to say it was like his back, but it looked like his neck. But it was like looked like he was concussed. He was like loopy getting up. All right, Mahomes got knocked out the playoff game. At this point right here, the Chiefs are up 4 points, 5 points. It's really late in the game. and they're around midfield with Chad Henne at quarterback. And I don't think anyone would have faulted Andy Reid for punting the ball in that situation. Punt it. The Browns don't have any more timeouts. Let the Browns just try to march down the field. Didn't work for the 49ers yesterday, but let them try to march down the field. But let's play a little bit more conservative. We have Chad Henne at quarterback. This is not Patrick Mahomes. Let's punt the ball. Hell no. He said, no, I'm going to win this game now. I'm not giving them, the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield, the ball back. And sure enough, 4th and short, what did he do? He went for it, threw a little out to Tyreek Hill, first down, ball game. They won the game. So he was coaching to win the game as opposed to not lose the game. And I always appreciated that about Andy Reid. Watched him do it in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. This is 2019. They had a 4th and short yardage situation. They could have just kicked the field goal. He said, we're not just kicking this field goal. That was when they lined up, and then they did like the little like spin thing. It was like everybody in the backfield spun, and they got on the ball, then they ran the play, and they picked up the 2 yards, right? Like, no, I'm not taking the 3. I'm getting a touchdown right here. That's what we're going for. So when I look at Kyle Shanahan, I've seen a lot of situations where I'm like, man, a little passive, Kyle. Let's be a little bit more aggressive. Let's have a little bit more of a killer instinct. And watching him go for it yesterday, not once, but twice on the same drive, I was actually ecstatic about it. It worked the first time. He did a terrific job, with the play calling. The 49ers picked up the first down. Even if they didn't pick up a first down, I was ready to tweet, great job, Kyle Shanahan. I love the fact that you went for it, even if you didn't get it. But, man, you're around midfield, and you went for it there, showed some cojones, all right? Now, fast forward, later in the drive, we saw the 49ers, 4th and short, 4th and goal from maybe the 2, and you had an opportunity. Do you run with Jordan Mason? Do you throw the ball? They put the ball in their quarterback's hands, and I don't fault them at all. It actually was open. I thought Juwan Jennings had a window initially, and the ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage, and 49ers did not make the play. But I love that. Heck, make the Vikings drive 99 yards. Surely they can't do that. Unfortunately, they did. All right. But as far as the thought process goes, I love that. And I hope that Kyle going through that situation with, going for it on 4th down, not getting the results that you wanted. I hope that doesn't make him gun shy next time, because part of, blackjack, if you're going to hit on 16s, hit on 16s. I always hit 15s, no matter what. I'm hitting on 15. If that's going to be your move, then you got to always make that your move. Kyle, please, please, please do not get gun shy. And we'll talk about being more gun shy in this next segment, but do not get gun shy and start to be conservative now. Let's continue to be that aggressive guy, because I think with your team, more times than not, it's going to work in your favor. It's going to work in your favor. All right, 49ers, Brock Purdy, gun shy versus the Vikings. Now, I know. I look at the stat sheet, the box score, and I see, dang, Brock Purdy sacked 6 times under duress. A couple of times had to make plays with his legs. But one thing that really stood out to me about Brock Purdy and what he did or didn't do was after the game, he said something to Flores, and he was like, man, like, hell of a scheme. So once he said that, it really confirmed what I thought. You're not seeing the field well. Now, I saw everyone talking about Brock Purdy and the things that he does well, getting the ball out of his hands, right? And if you go back to really this offseason, a big conversation or talking point that I know I brought up with Brock Purdy was, man, if your offensive line isn't great, right? The 49ers offensive line hasn't been great. I mean, outside of Trent Williams. But the 49ers offensive line has not been great. How do you offset not having a great offensive line? Well, I watched some of the other teams, and some people really struggle with it. Saw Caleb Williams last night. Not a great offensive line. He's struggling to get the ball out of his hands. Ends up running for his life, throwing interceptions. Didn't look good. All right. But when you're able to handle that pressure, when you're able to, pre-snap, post-snap, everything aligns, it looks good, right? Getting the ball out your hands, you know where you're going. You can offset not having a great offensive line. And I think for the 99% of the time, Brock Purdy does that extremely well in most games. Is he going to take a couple hits? Will he take a couple sacks? Took a couple sacks against the New York Jets. But more times than not, he's getting the ball out of his hands quick. But it was very evident in this game that those opportunities were there. Now, again, does he have to get to his decisions quick? Sure. But he does that extremely well. Matter of fact, JT O'Sullivan, Kyle Shanahan, those guys said, man, he's one of the best in the league at doing that. Finding the answer and finding it quick, getting the ball out of his hands, making that decision. In this game, he was holding on to the ball a little too long, and we saw that and it turned into 6 sacks on the day. All right, so what was I seeing? All right, I'm looking at a play and I'm watching the way it plays out. All right, you have some deeper routes, you have some deeper concepts. Man, I'm watching his head. His head is looking to the right. All right, so he's reading from right to left, and right in his vision is Deebo Samuel, and he looks at Deebo. He pumps, brings it down, boom, gets sacked. And Debo standing there kind of with his hands out, looking around like, whoa, why did you throw the ball? And I thought that that was a consistent theme throughout this game. Brock Purdy was a little bit more gun shy. And I think because of that, it's not that he was gun shy just because, oh, I don't want to pull the trigger, I don't want to throw the ball, or oh, the offensive line, I'm scared now. I don't think he quite knew what he was seeing from Brian Flores in the defense. I don't think he was comfortable with what he thought he was getting either pre-snap or post-snap. Or maybe he was comfortable pre-snap, but post-snap, it was a different look. And it was throwing them off. And it made him a little bit more gun shy. So, I think going through things like that would definitely make him better. I would still, there was something he did in the preseason where he threw a corner route to, who did he throw? Trent Taylor, right? So you guys might remember this play because I talked about it. I think we even put it on film. We watched the film on YouTube. There was a play where he had Trent Taylor as the point man. I want to say and this is the preseason, the Braden Willis motion from left to right to a bunch formation. Trent Taylor, point guy, running a corner route with a safety directly over the top of him, and he threw the corner. And I'm like, how the hell do you throw that corner route? Like, how do you say, you know what, Trent Taylor versus a press corner is going to beat this guy vertically on the corner, and not just beat him, he's going to beat him and the safety who's directly over the top of him? Like, how do you get to that answer? He threw the ball. I thought it was kind of idiotic, like, of Brock, like, and very, I guess, uncharacteristic of Brock Purdy to like make that type of throw. All right, but in this game, he kind of predetermined to throw again. Now, is this part of not knowing what he's seeing from Brian Flores' defense? Is this part of, hey, I am a little gun shy today. The protection isn't that great. Maybe he's predetermining his throws a little bit. All right, but he pumped to the left and then threw a slot fade to like Kyle Juszczyk and then like double coverage. It actually should have been picked off. Murphy, it like went through his hands, right? But and when I say should have been picked off, like I'm not putting on him that he nearly threw an interception. I know how people get like, oh, what about Patrick Mahomes? He throws picks and all these guys. I'm just kind of narrating the play. I thought it could have been picked off. All right, but forget the interception or near interception. It was the decision to throw a slot fade to Kyle Juszczyk, who's double covered, instead of throwing to the guy who is uncovered in the flat. Right now, he knew that guy was there because he pumped to it. The corner didn't bite and come down, and then he still threw the go route. We can't have that. All right. So I think there was a little aspect of Brock Purdy, maybe predetermining some of his throws, not sure what he was seeing. Shout out to Brian Flores. He did a terrific job. And not just against Brock. Heck, he's doing a good job against Kyle Shanahan as well. Sometimes schemes win, and I think it definitely won in this game for the Minnesota Vikings. I'll tell you whose scheme didn't work. And I don't have this as a topic, but 49ers defensive coordinator. I saw a lot of people taking victory laps on the Wilkes situation after week one. Like, oh, man, got a great defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen. He's the guy. Definitely not Wilkes' defense playing better. Man, it's so crazy how fast things change from week to week. Now everybody's like calling for a job. That might be extreme, but I think there are a lot of people that are saying, dang, what's going on with the defense? So they start kind of blaming players and, oh, man, this secondary. I saw someone say that this is the worst secondary the 49ers have had. Like, whoa, like, I don't think they're that bad. All right, but we'll continue to kind of monitor the defensive coordinator and maybe some of his adjustments that he makes. But I will say this. One thing that really stood out, man, just how comfortable Sam Darnold was against what the 49ers were doing. Now, Sam Darnold, this is a guy who If you go back to last year in the preseason, or if you go back to this preseason, heck, if you just go to the crossover episode of Locked On 49ers and listen to me and Brian Peacock with Luke, the Locked On Vikings host, we talked about how, hey, like I thought Sam Darnold was good for the 49ers. And I thought he was good in training camp. I thought he looked sharp. I thought he looked confident with what he was seeing with the scheme. It was clear that he had a lot of ability. That was what I saw. That was what I noted even during that time. I do think that sometimes with 49er fans, because they have this insecurity about Brock Purdy for some reason, they don't even want him to be challenged. Like, dude, it's Brock Purdy's job. That doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge that Sam Darnold's doing some good things. Now, in week 18, Sam Darnold got to play an entire game. 49ers ended up losing. He did some Sam Darnold-ish stuff. But he also did some good stuff, especially when he had the starters in. He led 2 scoring drives, touchdown drives. He led a field goal drive that was missed. And then they took all the starters out, and he was in there with backups. Didn't quite get the results that you would like. All right, now he has this opportunity. Hey, JJ McCarthy, they drafted a rookie. They're like, no, we're still going to go with Sam Darnold. McCarthy eventually will be the guy, but let's go with Sam Darnold to start the season. And then McCarthy gets hurt. He's out for the entire year. So now it's really just Sam Darnold's job. And through 2 games, we've seen a guy who has played well. And a lot of people are trying to it's almost like they're trying to continue to use Sam Darnold as like the same guy that was with the New York Jets. Adam Gase, that situation, it was terrible for him. Everyone knew that. The Panthers situation, not much better. And now, and we see how bad the Panthers are right now, new coaching staff and everything, but they're just terrible. All right, but he had a great situation with the 49ers to sit, to learn, to get back on track. And some people take advantage of it, some people don't. Clearly, early on, the returns on Sam Darnold are that, hey, maybe this guy can play in the NFL. Maybe this guy can potentially be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Is he going to continue to, hit 97-yard touchdown throws? I don't know, but we've always known he's had that kind of ability. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent. And I think we even saw some of the lack of consistency when he was with the Jets, just make some special plays, but then you see a lot of boneheaded stuff, seeing ghosts, all that stuff. So it's cool for me, just to kind of see a quarterback who, it wasn't great. It was rocky, but he kept getting opportunities, and now he has a big opportunity, feeling much more confident and comfortable with what he's got. All right, there in Minnesota. So shout out to Sam Darnold. Like, there's some people like, you lost to Sam Darnold. Like, that's the worst thing ever. And it's like, well, Sam Darnold's playing some good, decent football. He gave 49ers a couple opportunities, but he's playing some decent football right now. Jordan Mason continues to dominate on the ground. I think a lot of people expected Jordan Mason to play well, to run the rock well, to do good. But I think to this extent, I don't know. I think a lot of the comparisons that are being thrown out there right now are that Jordan Mason is like, oh, he's like, he runs angry like Marshawn Lynch. But I'm going to throw another name out there. And RIP to this guy. I believe he passed away. Marion the Barbarian Barber. All right. Marion Barber was a strong runner out of Minnesota, played for the Dallas Cowboys, ran hard, right? I'm not just trying to continue to compare this guy to people with dreads or that wore number 24, because didn't Marion Barber, let me Google Marion Barber. Didn't he wear number 24 for the Dallas Cowboys? Let's see. Yep, he sure did. Marshawn Lynch, Marion Barber, 24. All right, but anyways, Jordan Mason, 24. Right, so these guys are running really hard. Anyways, Jordan Mason, man, he's continuing to do a really good job, and I think a lot of people look at how this 49er team's going right now. Oh, you lost. You didn't have CMC though. It's like, well, you lost. You scored 17 points last year in a loss to Minnesota when you had Christian McCaffrey. All right, now you were missing Deebo Samuel. You were missing Trent Williams, but we know it's not always going to be perfect regardless. Like who's out there. 49ers have more than enough to win. There was no issues with whoever was out there on the field last week. I think most people would say that the Jets heading into the season, you would assume have a better defense than the Minnesota Vikings. So I think a lot of that just people kind of making excuses, but ultimately Jordan Mason, he has continued to do a terrific job. He's running hard. He's being aggressive. And just watching how decisive he is when he puts his foot in the ground, gets north right now. Jordan Mason has turned himself into like a bell cow running back. I mean, 20 carries, 100 yards in a game where you're kind of playing from behind a little bit. So, I think the 49ers, a lot of times, you want to be in this kind of comfortable situation. You want to feel like, hey, we're kind of playing with house money. I can make these plays. I'm comfortable making these throws or whatever. But being able to run the ball, sometimes people start to get away from that when you're down for a majority of the game, which 49ers, I mean, they were down all game. So shout out to Jordan Mason. Love the way he's running the rock. Love the way he's taking advantage of opportunity. All right. And there are a lot of people. This is the thing right here, right? This is a guy who, to start this season, was RB3. Not one, not two, RB3. RB3. And when situations like this arise, you have to make the most of this opportunity. And I think he's doing a terrific job of that. And it's not just scheme. Watching him put his foot in the ground, how hard he's running. I watched some people make some real business decisions. Like, I just don't want to tackle him. That's when you got a good back. So I'm excited, later this year when you get to see him and Christian McCaffrey play in the backfield together, or not at the same time, but spell back. I would assume that this makes Kyle Shanahan, maybe trust him a little bit more. I think Kyle Shanahan, with a lot of guys, if he doesn't trust you, he just doesn't want to play you. And you watch how he's running right now. Is he running any different than he's ran in the past for the 49ers? Absolutely not. What has the difference been? Maybe Kyle Shanahan's hand being forced to have to play him. A lot of people talked about, the lack of pass protection and those type of things that he need to work on. I don't know if he's worked on those things a whole lot, but I know he's running the hell out that damn ball. So Jordan Mason, he continues to dominate on the ground, back-to-back games, over 100 yards rushing. He's doing awesome. So more people that did awesome. The 49ers pass catchers, I thought they were very efficient. Debo, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. All right. They all did terrific there. It was interesting watching Debo, because Debo kind of turned in. A lot of people want to talk about who's the wide receiver one for the San Francisco 49ers. Oh, is Brandon Ayuk? That's their best receiver. And maybe he is from a pure ability standpoint. But I always tell people, like, Debo is like the guy. He's still the guy. He's still the one when they want to make plays and they want the game's on the line. Like, who are they getting the ball in the hands of? It's Debo Samuel. And when you watch some of these throws, there were some high throws over the middle. I'm listening to the commentators, and they're like, oh, he had to get it over that underneath defender. I'm like, what underneath defender? It was just a high ball. And Debo did a great job of, in traffic, skying up, exposing himself in the air like that to the defense, and potentially getting hit and hurt and catching the ball, not worrying about that, and getting right back up. He made catch after catch, play after play. George Kittle did a good job with his opportunities. They took away a big gain from him, or he would have had over 100 yards as well. But I think Brandon Ayuk is the one who did well, was 4 catches on 5 targets. I thought they were efficient with what he did. I think it was his only incompletion, maybe in the end zone. I think there was an end zone pass to him that was kind of overthrown. That was the only pass to him that he didn't catch. All right, now, a lot of people are complaining about, so far, the production with Brandon Ayuk, and you paid him a lot of money. So where's the production? Right? This is a guy who's getting $30 million a year. Where's the production? And I tried to tell people why I thought the 49ers didn't want to pay him a ton of money. And I think we're seeing it on full display right now. It's not that Brandon Ayuk isn't a terrific receiver. It's not that Ayuk isn't awesome. It's not that he can't run every route. It's not that he can't win in on every level of the field. The biggest issue with Ayuk, I wouldn't even say it's an issue with him, but with his lack of production, is that Kyle Shanahan, from week to week, does not care if he throws it to Ayuk, Kittle, Debo, right? If he throws it to any of them 10 times a game, or 10 times in the game, or 2 to 3 or 4 times in the game. So if you are expecting Brandon Ayuk to justify the money that he's getting by catching 120 passes, that's just not the 49ers offense. And that's why I thought they were going to have a hard time really, really paying them. Like, why would you pay a guy $30 million per year when you don't use him like the other guys who get paid $30 million a year. I just watched St. Brown yesterday. What did he do? I don't know. 11 catches, over 100 yards. Well, of course, a lot of the offense runs through him. Of course, we're not gonna pay this guy $30 million to not throw him the ball a lot, right? So 11 catches for St. Brown yesterday. But the 49ers, that's not how their offense works. They don't look to feature Brandon Ayuk. So that was one of my big things with, all right, you're paying Brandon Ayuk. Are you going to start to use him different? And I think so far, what I've seen is that, no, the 49ers are using him exactly like they've always used him. We don't care if he gets 8 catches in the game. We don't care if he gets 2 catches in the game, 3 catches in the game, 4 catches in the game. We're going to run our offense. And I think Kyle Shanahan is going to continue to approach it that way. Now, he has guys that can ball. And again, loved what I saw from Debo, George, and really what I saw from Ayuk as well. But if you think that the 49ers are going to start to utilize Ayuk a different way because they paid him a ton of money, sadly mistaken. You are sadly mistaken. Appreciate everybody that's in the chat right now. I see the chat going crazy. We got we're talking about Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is not getting any separation. I don't know. I'm hoping that the film comes through today so we can actually watch some stuff and kind of get some breakdowns going on. But I don't think that's the case. I doubt that. Brandon Ayuk is just not getting separation. But we will look into it. We will look into that. Appreciate everybody in the chat right now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And again, I want to let you guys know that this show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you download the app or go to underdogfantasy.com. Use promo code Crocky. All right, use promo code Crocky. And they'll double your deposit up to $100. They always have new things going on. Yesterday, they had like a $50% bonus on certain things. Like, oh man, Underdog is the best app out of all of these. Prize Picks, whatever. Underdog best and the best live plays as well. Alberto in the chat says Jamar Chase is not being used, only targeted 4 times. Does that mean they're not gonna pay him? They're gonna pay him. Was that really weird with Jamar Chase and how he was acting on that one play, and then he's like throwing a tantrum, and then he couldn't even get it under control, and his quarterback is trying to calm him down, and he's like throwing his quarterback's hand off of him, and he goes to the sideline, throws his helmet, and I'm like, bro, what the hell is going on with this guy? What the hell is going on with him? All right, let's get back to some of these topics. One guy who really kept this game from being a blowout is Fred Warner. And I think right now Fred Warner is making this case for not just like 49ers team MVP, not just All-Pro, but Defensive Player of the Year. This guy forced 2 fumbles, had an interception. He had some coverage stops. He's breaking up passes. I mean, we watched what he did in the first game, forced another fumble. Fred Warner is playing out of his mind right now. Fred Warner is playing out of his mind. And you love to see it. Heading into this season, I mean, we've been calling Fred Warner All-Pro Fred for really even before he was an All-Pro linebacker. But seeing his impact that he's having right now on the field, and really for a player to single-handedly keep a team in this game, he kept this game from being a blowout. 49ers should have got blown out by Minnesota. It should have been a blowout. 49ers were within 1 score, but it was him keeping this game close. At times where the Vikings looked like they were going to cruise into the end zone, red zone interception, punched the ball. He took 2 touchdowns off of the board himself. Fred Warner is playing out of his mind. And I think if he continues this, he's definitely going to really make his case for potentially being Defensive Player of the Year. And there's some guys that's playing well, man. I mean, if you have been paying any attention to players, around the league, and you see a guy like TJ Watt and what Watt is doing, Watt is special. He's making plays left and right. He's dominating. Their defense. They played the Broncos. They play. Who did the Steelers play in Week 1? The Falcons. destroyed the Falcons. I actually thought the Falcons would get more offense, but week 2, just dominated, and you expected him to dominate the Broncos. But TJ Watt, he's going crazy. He's if there's anybody that has anything to say about Defensive Player of the Year not being Fred Warner, it's likely TJ Watt because he's on a tear right now. Now, if only the 49ers can get the secondary to play as well as some of the guys on the front end, right? Nick Bosa, multiple sacks. Again, I talked about the impact plays that Fred Warner had. But what about on the back end? Who's the guy supposed to be making the impact plays there? And there were a couple plays that I definitely specifically going to go over. Can't wait till we get the film so I can kind of, show the all 22 view of this. But I loved, again, and I noted this earlier in the show, I loved Kyle Shanahan going for it on 4th down. Oh, yeah, make them have to drive 99 yards, 98 yards. And unfortunately, they were able to do it in 2 plays. But a big part of that was the concept that they had on that touchdown play to Justin Jefferson. And we'll kind of talk about some of the guys on the back end as well. But you had Jefferson in the slot, and he ran a post, but he did a really good job of, you had the post, and then you had the dig coming underneath it. So it was like the post was damn near like clear. Like the 49ers, Brock Purdy probably would have thrown that dig. And the dig I thought was open. You're running a dig versus an outside shade corner and Travarius Ward. All right. All you need is about a step or two. Quarterback, make a good throw. You have a nice little catch and run opportunity. And I don't think anybody would have saw anything wrong with that. But instead, Sam Darnold says, nah, I got a little protection here. Let me step up. And I thought that Jefferson did a really good job of inside release, bent it back outside to get a little bit of leverage on the corner, and then boom, broke it back post over the middle, and they caught the safety flat-footed, eyes kind of not in the backfield, but the safety's eyes initially got caught by the dig, and again, I thought the dig was a throw that they could make that could have been open. Timing, you make the throw, boom, all right, but he said, nah, that split second of being a little hesitant on seeing that dig made it to where Jefferson was able to get behind the safety and put the 49ers in a tough position. Sam Darnold dropped a dime. Now, one thing about either go routes or vertically pushing passes is really difficult because hitting guys in stride more times than not, they have to adjust to a ball. There was no adjustment there. It's just boom, hit him in stride. Now, the safety tried to take an angle, and Jefferson said, let me cut back cross field. Not only him, but I don't know if you guys paid attention to the referee on that play. Shout out to the referee, super athletic looking. He must have been an athlete when he was younger. But Jefferson outran everybody. That was a tough play. Because I like everything that the Vikings did. And it's all about execution. The Vikings executed every aspect of it, whether it was the pass protection, whether it was the routes, the route concept, the throw, hitting the guy in stride, giving him an opportunity to catch and run. Because think about it, he's open. You throw that a little short. Now he has to stop, catch the ball. Okay, now I got to make a guy miss, and he has to do all kind of other stuff. But to be able to catch that in stride, and guys take an angle, cut back cross field, that was a terrific job by the Vikings offense. I think the bigger takeaway for me was maybe the lack of speed on the guys on the back end. I've always felt like that was an issue, but I think lack of speed or arm strength, right? Those are two things where I feel like most of the time aren't that big of an issue. But there's one thing, if you guys have been listening to me, there's one thing I always say. You don't need a big arm until you need it, and you don't need speed until you need it. And on that play, the Vikings definitely needed the big arm of Sam Darnold, and they need the speed of Jefferson and turn that into a 97-yard touchdown. So the great execution there. But again, I think it was a good concept to hold the safety's eyes for that split second and then be able to get Jefferson behind him. Now, there was another play that I felt like there was maybe some miscommunication, actually a few plays. So one play, and these are plays that I hope to highlight once we are able to get the film of the all 22, but there was a play, the safety, there was a safety down. It was near the red zone, around the goal line. They motioned the receiver into the backfield, kind of stacked behind the tight end, and that was Naylor. Naylor ran a little corner route we're seeing whatever he ran, got behind Travis Ward. Miscommunication, or not even miscommunication. I think just bad eyes by Travis Ward. Eyes in the backfield, not great, not ideal. That had him hesitate and stop for a split second. They were able to get behind him and boom, throw the touchdown. So I think the communication was good. I saw him kind of come over, tap the guy, you go over there. I got him, and his eyes were in the backfield to start the play, and you'll get beat more times than not like that at the NFL level. The other play that was really tough for the 49ers was there was a key third down play. You wanted the 49ers to get this third down stop, and they had the Vikings motion down to a bunch. It was Isaac Yiadom. He kind of got picked on a little bit. Isaac Yiadom got picked on a little bit, but they motioned down to a bunch, had him push up, push out, cleared it out. But even more so than the clear out, it was watching Isaac Yiadom, and it was clear he was a little confused. And right then and there, one thing I remember being in the NFL, things happen so fast. And you have to be able to make decisions in a split second. And if it's something that you maybe didn't quite go over, prior to the game or prior to the snap, it's like, okay, how are we going to go about this? And then, boom, before you know it, the play's gone, the ball is out, and you give up a key third down. 49ers get a stop there. Oh, they got action. They got action. But instead, it allowed a drive to keep going. What was it? 7-play drive, I think, or excuse me, 7-minute drive, almost 7 minutes. That ate up a lot of the clock and really eliminated a comeback for the 49ers. 49ers have to get the communication down right. And I think a big part of that is really just guys on the back end all getting on the same page. In the chat, we got Country Music. He says, we suck again. You heard? I think the 49ers are okay. I think the 49ers were okay. Kevin in the chat said, it was about 52 yards in the air. Purdy been through that far. I don't even think it's so much about what are we talking about? The Sam Darnold throw. It was hitting the guy in stride, throwing it as far as you need it, hitting the guy in stride. Can Purdy take over a game like Kyler did yesterday? I think they're different type and different style of quarterbacks, but I will say, watch out for the Cardinals. That offense is cooking. They're back. They are back. Paul in the chat says, Croc, wide receivers can't get separation from CB Purdy throwing in the tight coverage. Well, with the way that the 49ers have constructed their wide receiver group, at least their guys, Ayuk is the one who is the main separator. The other guys is kind of up and down, right? Like Debo is not a separation guy. I think we all know that. But I think with Kyle Shanahan, with a lot of what he does, I think he truly believes his system is what's going to get guys open. So there's not a whole lot of trickery to it. There's not a whole lot of second guessing what we're doing. Is, hey, we're going to run this. I expect to see this. And then, hey, with timing and rhythm, you throw the ball, you get the ball out your hands, and guys are going to be open. It's not an offense that's predicated on featuring a guy to make sure that guy gets a certain type of separation. Like, it's just not what they do. The Vikings defense didn't care about Mason because he's not a big threat. I would say that Mason was a big threat. Like, you can't say that a guy who's just coming off of a 150-yard game and then comes in and runs for another 100 yards, like, oh, we don't care about him. He's not a threat. Like, nah, he was a threat. Unfortunately for the 49ers, they turned the ball over multiple times. They weren't great on special teams. You had a muff. You had a punt block that set up a short field. I think there were a lot of other things that really contributed to the 49ers loss. But I don't think it was just like, oh, I don't care about Jordan Mason. I don't think that at all. He ran his ass off. Croc, call me crazy, but Jennings was getting separation yesterday. I think Jennings, where he lines up, again, this is not me saying that he doesn't have this type of ability, but you're going to, in the slot, and you have Debo, to worry about, and you have Ayuk, you're going to get more favorable matchups. And I think Juwan Jennings has done a terrific job of being able to win the way that he wins and get just enough separation. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat again. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. In about 15 minutes, I will be on live and direct with my guy, Ryan G. Hensley. All right, but hey, that's gonna do it for this episode. Hopefully on the next episode, I'll put the link in there and we'll have some call-ins. All right, get everything out, get to talk, about how it is that you guys feel about this game. But that's gonna do it for this episode. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.